I think that's the case with any film, but this one in particular. Usually you have chemistry or some scene at the end of the day, you go, yes, I nailed it, I was amazing. Not in this case.
This is an exclamation mark. Oh,
God.
Sandra Bullock finally broke her silence, and the fallout is absolutely nuclear. For years, the world thought the chemistry in the proposal was pure Hollywood magic, but Sandra just pulled back the curtain on a reality that was far more sinister. It wasn't a partnership. It was a battle for control that left her feeling like a background extra in her own starring role. The charming, wisecracking Ryan Reynolds we see in interviews allegedly had a much darker, more controlling side behind the scenes that nobody was allowed to talk about until now. The shockwaves are hitting every corner of the industry as the beloved duo's history gets rewritten in real time.
Her target? Blake Lively's claims that she was allegedly harassed by this guy when they shot the movie It Ends With Us, a film about domestic violence. And was Justin didn't harass Blake. Blake was interested in wresting control of this movie away from Justin, who was the director and the producer. She was just an actress.
The fallout for Blake and Ryan has been swift and brutal as the industry begins to distance itself from the controversy. Major brand deals that were once desperate for Blake's endorsement have suddenly gone silent. One luxury beauty line reportedly scrubbed her entire collection from their website overnight with no explanation. Executives are calling her too hot to touch because of the volatility surrounding her name.
You guys, it is Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni Day. Finally, to all of the women out there that are watching, no matter what you do in life, you never, ever, ever go full Amber Heard. Another bombshell, and this time it is pertaining to the New York Times. Amazing that you're not going to believe this, okay? It looks like Justin Baldoni may have a very strong case against the New York.
Even Ryan, who has long been considered the man with the Midas touch, is starting to look radioactive to major studios. Rumors are swirling that high-profile pitches, including a streaming docuseries, have been quietly pulled from internal calendars at Netflix and Hulu. One executive allegedly remarked that Reynolds' fatigue has set in, and his charming persona is no longer enough to cut through the scandal. Critics are also pointing out that his recent roles have become repetitive, making the behind-the-scenes drama even harder to ignore. The industry is beginning to weigh the reputational risk of working with a star who brings this much baggage to the table.
They were plotting with the New York Times for months to smear him, and there may be some important evidence. I know for a fact that the mainstream media will lie and they will smear on behalf of their powerful friend. I believe in due process, which is why I always read the facts of the case before accepting the media narrative.
The kind of lawsuit that is full of evidence, documents, which prove exactly what she did to take over the movie.
One of the most significant impacts of this scandal is a new yellow tier classification for Blake Lively among film insurers. Translation: any studio that wants to hire her now has to pay millions more in completion bond insurance because she is seen as a liability. This isn't about her talent. It's about the volatility she brings to a production and the risk of a hostile takeover. When your name becomes a spreadsheet liability, your career in the studio system is in serious jeopardy. This financial hurdle might be the final blow to her status as a leading lady, as producers look for stars who offer a more collaborative and predictable environment.
And that really they're bored and rich. Another circumstance that made me see right through Ryan Reynolds and the kind of person that he is when, despite being friends with Joe Alwyn, who dated Taylor Swift for 5 years. She's best friends with Blake Lively.
They worked with the New York Times. Her publicists worked directly with the New York Times. They shared illegally obtained text messages.
Meanwhile, a grassroots movement of fans is demanding justice for the original version of It Ends With Us. A petition has exploded online with tens of thousands of signatures, calling for the release of the director's cut before the alleged Blake Show edits took over. The comments are brutal, with fans claiming they didn't sign up for a hijacked story. This public rejection is a nightmare for the studio, which is now facing the reality that their star might have ruined a billion-dollar franchise. The pressure is mounting for the studio to address the inconsistencies in the film and the tension that is clearly visible on the screen.
The publicist was planting stories about him. He's got receipts. His lawyer was just responding publicly to what she initiated. Literally moments ago, Baldoni's attorney.
The list of A-list stars backing away from the couple is growing by the day. Emma Stone, who was once attached to a project with Reynolds, is reportedly reassessing her commitments. Zoe Saldana opted out of a joint promo tour at the last minute, and even Dwayne Johnson posted a cryptic message about trusting his instincts and cutting ties. The vibe in Hollywood has shifted from admiration to caution as people realize how deep the PR manipulation goes. When your closest friends and colleagues start staying quiet, it's a sign that the bridge is burned. The circle of trust around Ryan and Blake is shrinking to an all-time low.
Conclusion here, I have said this since before, long before this ever broke out between her and Justin Baldoni. Blake Lively is not a good person, that she has proven herself not to be a kind.
People are also starting to re-examine Ryan's past behavior on other major sets like Green Lantern and Deadpool. While he is often described as brilliant, multiple actors have hinted at a level of intensity and friction that was previously dismissed as creative passion. With Sandra Bullock's story now in the open, those whispers are becoming loud conversations. Was he quietly steering more projects than we realized? Was his influence the reason why so many directors felt sidelined on his films? The narrative of the nice guy is being replaced by the reality of a powerhouse who knows exactly how to get his way.
If you look at that URL, look at the date on that, 12/16/2000.
You did not know both of their lawsuits have been consolidated into one legal showdown instead of these two separate lawsuits.
This is about that narrative that I think they instantly started spinning. I believe that they are going to be able to prove in court that this was personal, Ryan Reynolds versus Justin Baldoni, all of
hid total emotional exhaustion.
The leaked emails also highlighted a dark strategy of using influencers and meme pages to silence critics. Ryan's ownership of various brands, including his tequila company, allegedly gave him a massive network of ad deals that he could use as leverage. If a page started posting negative content about him or Blake, the ad deals would reportedly disappear. This digital gatekeeping allowed them to maintain a perfect image for years, but now that the emails are public, the system is breaking down. The influencers who once owed him favors are now staying silent to avoid being dragged down with the sinking ship. The most shocking part of the email dump was the specific plan to weaponize motherhood. The PR team allegedly discussed framing Blake as a heartbroken creative woman who was being bullied by a male director, specifically to trigger a wave of support from female audiences. Sandra Bullock's refusal to work with Ryan again is the ultimate confirmation that the bridges are truly burned. For someone as respected and professional as Sandra to walk away from a guaranteed hit says everything about the environment Ryan creates. She has nothing to gain from this except her peace of mind, which makes her silence breaking even more powerful. It's a warning to every other actress in the industry. The charm is a mask, and the collaboration is an illusion. Sandra is reclaiming her narrative, and in doing so, she is giving other victims of the Reynolds Lively machine the courage to speak up. The story Sandra is telling isn't just about a movie set, it's about a pattern of behavior that was buried under layers of PR gloss for over a decade. She describes an environment on the set of The Proposal that was creatively restrictive and deeply tense. According to Bullock, Reynolds wasn't just her co-star, he was allegedly the shadow director, rewriting energy in real time and undermining her performance with sarcastic suggestions. What looked like playful banter on screen was actually a defensive mechanism against a co-lead who allegedly refused to collaborate. The romantic narrative we all bought into is crumbling as more details surface about what it was really like. The golden couple facade is officially in pieces. What was once seen as the perfect Hollywood marriage now looks like a strategic alliance designed for industry dominance. The public is tired of the polished interviews and the scripted social media banter. They want authenticity, and right now, all they see is calculation. The more the couple tries to spin the story, the more the public pushes back. It's a classic case of PR overreach where the solution became the problem. The machine they built to protect themselves has become the very thing that is tearing their reputations apart in front of the world. Justin Baldoni's reputation, meanwhile, is seeing a quiet but steady recovery. Directors who have worked with him in the past are coming forward to call him respectful and collaborative. Even George Clooney is rumored to be back in talks with him for a future project. While Blake and Ryan are being benched, the man they allegedly tried to destroy is finding support in the most influential corners of the industry. It's a rare moment of accountability in a town that usually favors the biggest stars. The facts are starting to outweigh the spin, and the truth is proving to be much more resilient than a PR campaign. As we look back at the history of The Proposal and the career of Ryan Reynolds, the perspective has changed forever. We can no longer watch those scenes without wondering what was happening just off camera. Was Sandra Bullock truly happy, or was she just a great actress playing a part for a controlling co-star? The magic of cinema is built on illusions, but this particular illusion has become too painful to maintain. The industry is moving into a new era where the golden age of the power couple is ending, replaced by a demand for transparency and respect on every level of production. The final lesson here is that in Hollywood, reputations are the only currency that truly matters. You can have all the power, money, and PR teams in the world, but once the public stops trusting you, the game is over. Sandra Bullock's courage to speak her truth has started a fire that won't be easily extinguished. Whether the Reynolds Lively brand can survive this remains to be seen, but one thing is certain, the era of silence is over. The next time you see a charming interview or a viral social media post, remember that the most important stories are the ones they tried to edit out. Insiders are now confirming that Bullock felt she had no choice but to smile through the emotional exhaustion. The production allegedly prioritized Reynolds as the golden favorite, making him essentially untouchable. While Sandra was the established queen of the genre, she reportedly felt her voice was being silenced as Reynolds took the reins of direction without ever officially holding the title. She allegedly told friends it felt less like a creative partnership and more like forced obedience. This revelation is changing the way fans view one of the most iconic rom-coms of the 2000s, proving that the brightest stars often hide the darkest behind-the-scenes secrets. But this isn't just about a film from 2009, because the same tactics are allegedly surfacing in the modern day. Sandra's sudden decision to speak out is being linked to the massive controversy surrounding Ryan's wife, Blake Lively, and her recent project It Ends With Us. Industry experts are pointing to a chilling blueprint of influence that has been used to seize control of productions. It appears that the behavior Sandra witnessed years ago has become a family strategy for dominance in Hollywood. The public is starting to realize that the golden couple might actually be the most calculated power players in the business, and the evidence is becoming impossible to ignore. In the middle of the It Ends With Us drama, crew members began leaking stories that sounded exactly like Sandra's experience. Blake Lively reportedly overstepped her role as an actress, rejecting direction from Justin Baldoni and demanding script changes that altered the entire tone of the movie. While Ryan wasn't officially on the set, his presence was felt everywhere as his PR team began advising Blake on how to leverage her image. It wasn't just a creative disagreement, it was a hostile takeover designed to turn the film into The Blake Show. The irony is that the film's director was sidelined on his own project, mirroring exactly what Sandra says happened to her. Just when things couldn't get more chaotic, a series of leaked emails hit the internet, and they changed everything we thought we knew. These weren't just frustrated messages, they were cold, strategic battle plans designed to destroy reputations. The subject lines alone were terrifying, featuring phrases like narrative control and sympathy arc. One of the most damning emails detailed a Tuesday drop intended to frame Blake as a victim while isolating blame on her co-stars. These documents prove that the public narrative wasn't organic. The leaked threads reveal that Ryan wasn't just a supportive husband, he was the primary architect behind the scenes. His personal representatives were allegedly involved in every step of the PR campaign, from leaking stories to major outlets to coordinating social media influencers. One specific bullet point directed a major magazine to feature Blake as misunderstood while inserting language about her motherhood to gain public sympathy. It was a full-blown career detonation aimed at anyone who stood in their way. The emails show a level of executive decision-making that suggests Ryan uses his massive industry ties as a back channel to manipulate the media.